Harris County finally wraps up counting primary votes, but not without controversy.
This election was an unmitigated disaster.
We are walking you through this complicated story and looking at what we can expect for the November election. A 10-year-old played dead to save her brother as the rest of her family was executed in their own home. Now a second woman is charged in the brutal murder, and investigators say she planned the whole thing. Houston's finest could soon get a pay raise. A look at the initiatives from the city and the department to keep officers on the force. His Astroworld tickets never came before the show started, and neither did his refund. That is, until he turned to Ted. The results are coming up. But we start with the new details on the brutal execution of a Houston family in their Southwest Houston home.
It was last year when a 10-year-old played dead as her parents and 6-year-old sister were gunned down. Well, now a second person is charged in the murders. And
the investigators say she may have planned the whole thing, and we're waiting for new details from court. ABC 13 reporter Roxy Bustamante joins us live from downtown with more this evening. Roxy?
Yeah, Alexis Williams is now facing multiple charges, including 3 counts of capital murder, similar to the accused shooter who was arrested and charged last year. Now we're learning that investigators believe that Williams is the one that it was the mastermind behind this attack. In June of 2021, Houston police say Gregory Carhey, Donyavia Lagway, and their 6-year-old daughter, Harmony Carhey, were shot and killed in their Southwest Houston apartment. Investigators say their 10-year-old daughter, Lyric, was also shot, but played dead to save her baby brother in what police called an execution-style murder. Just days after the rampage, the accused shooter, 28-year-old Xavier Davis, was arrested on an unrelated incident and charged with 3 counts of capital murder and 1 count of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon in connection to the shooting. 8 months later, a second suspect, Alexis Williams, is now facing the same charges. Investigators believe Williams had a relationship with the mother, Donyavia Lagway, and they broke up a couple of weeks before the deadly shooting. Houston police say Williams and Davis are childhood friends, and phone records reveal the role Williams played in the attack.
Cell phone records that actually show that she was in contact with Xavier Davis during the murders. She was on FaceTime through portions of the murder with Xavier Davis. He was with her at her apartment 30 minutes before these murders occurred. So there's no reason that she shouldn't face the exact same charges that Xavier Davis does.
Now, Williams is expected to be in court here tonight. Now, I was just told by one of our crew members that's inside that proceedings have started right now, so we will have an update for you later on tonight. Reporting live downtown Houston, Roxy Bustamante, ABC 13 Eyewitness News.
Roxy, thank you. Well, we are following some breaking news out of West Harris County. Sky over the scene of this parking lot on Fry Road, where Harris County Sheriff's deputies say a teen was shot and is now seriously injured. They believe that he is either 16 or 17 years old. That victim flown by life flight to the hospital. Investigators on their way. Today, family and friends said goodbye to fallen San Jacinto County Deputy Constable Neil Adams. Deputy Adams was killed while working a separate security job at Plaza Americas Mall in Sharpstown last week. His funeral in Cold Spring, followed by a full honor ceremony that included a flyover and a 21-gun salute. His family was also given an American flag. For the first time, investigators are speaking with ABC 13 about the horrific scene when 3 brothers were found with their dead brother's body in a West Side apartment. Deputy John Craig, the lead investigator in the case, tells ABC 13 the surviving brothers were relieved but visibly scared to see officers.
They still had that fear in their eyes because they didn't know what was coming next. I mean, you know, they're happy. You know, you could tell they're happy. After you talk to them, they want to hug you. You know, they want to express, you know, I'm glad you're here. But you still see in their eyes, they have fear.
You could hear the emotion in his voice right there. Now, those brothers, ages 15, 10, and 7 years old, told investigators their mom left them alone for months with the body of their 8-year-old little brother. Kendrick Lee, they say, had been dead for a year. They told investigators their mother's boyfriend beat Kendrick to death And on Eyewitness News at 6:30, investigators reveal why the boys never left the apartment for help. Okay, all eyes have been on Harris County for the past 48 hours. That's because election crews were not able to finish counting ballots by the 7 p.m. state-mandated deadline and didn't finish until early this morning. Now, some are calling for audits, a change in leadership, and possible litigation. ABC 13's Erica Simon joins us live from the Election Technology Center in Northwest Houston with the latest. Erica.
It is my second day here, and I can tell you there is a lot of emotion. Crews did not finish counting the ballots until about 1 a.m. behind me, and everybody's exhausted. Both parties are weighing in. And again, as you said, all eyes are on Harris County. Now, officials now are looking into what the next steps are, what needs to be reviewed, and some are saying this was downright mismanaged. The Harris County Republican Party is speaking out.
And if it were only one or two mistakes, I'd say these things happen. But this election was an unmitigated disaster.
The GOP claims there were missing late or wrongly delivered equipment, staffing issues, and wrong-sized ballot pages during the primaries. In result, they're calling for the county's election administrator, Isabel Longoria, to resign or be fired.
And today we've seen what happens when you put the wrong person in the job.
The Harris County Democratic Party says everyone is exhausted and needs to take a beat. Let a bipartisan review of the elections take place before jumping to any conclusions.
The election code is very complicated. There's antiquated laws in it. We add new laws. We don't go back and go fix the antiquated laws. So there's a lot of things that all of us can be doing. This is not solely on the election administrator's office. We're all going to get our heads together and we're going to figure this thing out.
Harris County's chief director of voting gives their handling of the primaries a B+ and is taking any criticism of their office with a grain of salt. They also say using paper ballots mixed with new state laws like SB1 and new machines required a slower, more methodical process.
We have engaged in what are best practices. We have made sure we are crossing our T's, dotting our I's, going through all of our steps required to make sure that we're counting every vote and counting it accurately.
There was oversight from both the Republicans and Democrats when it came time to review and give some ballots a second look. We're talking about the ones that may have been smudged or had some kind of issue. The county estimates those to be at about 2,500 or so. Both parties also agreed this morning to drop a lawsuit that was filed in court for the county going over their deadline. Now, this is just halfway through the process, guys. They still have to go through provisional ballots and overseas ballots from troops and things like that. They have until March 10th by law to get everything packaged up, finished, certified, and made official. We, of course, will stay on top of it. For now, we're live in Northwest Houston. Erica Simon, ABC 13 Eyewitness News.
Well, with the 2022 Texas primaries in the rearview mirror now, we are hearing from the leaders of voting organizations aimed at helping our Hispanic, Black, and Muslim communities, just to name a few. ABC 13's race and culture reporter Rosie Nguyen attended the Houston Inaction virtual roundtable. She's live in the newsroom tonight. And Rosie, what were some of their experiences?
The panelists say the new guidelines of SB1 have exacerbated the barriers that exist for multilingual voters and people living in marginalized communities. They worry that the amount of time and steps that it takes to get your ballot counted will continue to deter these individuals from voting.
Just 2 days after Election Day, leaders with 6 voting activist groups came together for a virtual roundtable hosted by Houston Inaction. They shared what their teams experienced while working with people in underserved communities. Panelists say the new guidelines in SB1 worsen the challenges that already exist for the populations they serve, adding confusion in the voting process for those who are still learning English.
Running through the primary ballot took me an hour and a half. Does the average, and this is my job, does the average person have the time to go through a ballot?
For those who are not allowed to vote by mail and have limited access to the internet, they say casting a ballot at the polls can be an overwhelming process.
People are also surprised that they go into the voting poll, they can't have their cell phone out and they can't research candidates right there and then. And so again, we're just trying to unpack every single layer of confusion.
One speaker found the new requirement for people who assist in-person voters to take an oath is deterring some people from volunteering.
If they even mistakenly violate it anyway, it's a misdemeanor offense, which actually prevents, Good Samaritans from actually coming forward to help other voters with their ballot.
With the general elections up next in November, I asked the panelists what can be done to help these underserved populations overcome barriers. They say their number one priority is to educate voters about all of the required steps, help them understand what's at stake in the election, and empower them to feel like their voice matters.
We have to start early. And so it's really about kind of, not tuning in like a month before an election, but actually, having year-round organizers to actually develop leaders.
Reporting in Houston, Rosie Nguyen, ABC13 Eyewitness News.
Well, new at 6, this man and his sister planned to go to Astroworld, but didn't get their tickets he paid thousands for, so he then turned to Ted to find out when he could get a refund.
Then in 30 minutes, an update on the war in Ukraine and a look at how you can help those fleeing their homes from here in Houston.
And your Thursday started off with a little bit of light fog as we look towards downtown Houston, but Tower Cam time lapse today showed that we had a mix of sun and clouds, a nice day as temperatures made it to 77 for a high. We've got near perfect weather if you're heading out to the rodeo this evening as we slowly fall to 62 degrees. Then I'll tell you about a cold front coming in next week that'll make it feel a little bit more like March again.
I-45, the North Freeway, is your traffic hotspot at this hour. A wreck just clearing at West Gulf Bank northbound has everything still sluggish. The HOV moving nicely, but still that drive time northbound downtown to the Woodlands is in the red at almost an hour. Later on this evening, be aware, 249 Tomball Parkway closed in both directions, all main lanes at State Highway 99. This is nightly through March 31st. So heading back from the rodeo in the evenings, be aware of this closure on 249 in the Tomball area.